Yes, friends. And today I'm taking, this is my next sixth prediction. Right? Now we cannot say that this is a prediction. Prediction, as I have told you already, that I'm taking the historical events, mostly the events in which massacre have happened, killing of number of people happened, of innocent people mostly. The innocent people were killed, in the past events or historical events, and those events I'm taking one by one. Whatever the important events has happened or have happened, the important events have happened in the Indian history, that I'm taking one by one. So latest I took in the fifth prediction, that was post prediction. I can say post prediction, not prediction, as I've already clarified this. That this is not prediction but post prediction. We are talking about the historical event now in the present, and prediction means when we are talking about some future event, predicting about happening or occurrence of one event which is going to happen in the future. That is prediction. Now this is post prediction, means we are talking about any event which has already happened in the history or historical event which happened, and why this happened, what are the astronomical or astrological, Vedic astrological explanation of these kind of events. That's why I have taken these historical events. Okay, so please bear with me, because some of the people may or may not like this. The reason is that they are not worried about past, they are worried about future, present and future only. But I am just talking about those parameters. I have to talk about those parameters which are required to predict for certain future events, right? For we can predict only future events on the basis of the parameters which we have studied, which we are going to discuss about, on the basis of the past events which have happened, similar kind of events, or we cannot say similar kind of events, but just parallel events, the same kind of events or similar kind of events in which killing or murder of innocent people happened, right? Killing or we can say that massacre of innocent people happened in the past. So on the basis of those parameters which we have studied, I am going to give you very important parameter. And because of this parameter, as I have studied in the as most of the Vedants, you may say, or Vedas talk about this, or Upanishads, or you may say scriptures, most of the Vedic scriptures, they talk about all these events, all these mishappenings or all these kind of events can happen, that this is the condition here. All those conditions are discussed by the Rishis, by the Maharshis, like Ved Vyas has mostly discussed about all these things in Mahabharata, right? Whenever the Mahabharata, when the Mahabharata war was going to have start or going to happen, Ved Vyas was talking about all the future events which were going to happen to the blind king who was known as Dhritarashtra, right? The father of Duryodhana. That was the person who was most. We cannot say that he was he was responsible for that. We cannot say that responsible, because the responsibility comes only from the destiny, or it is destined. We cannot change that destiny. We can change only the destiny up to our strength, our power. Only that power we can apply. But certain events are there which cannot be changed, which are going to happen. That event happened. The Kurukshetra war occurred because of conditions which were prevalent in those days. Stationary positions or positions of the planets, right? We can say that the transit of planets in those days. What was the transit of planets in those days? Maharshi Vyas talks about. And that kind of similar kind of events, whenever occurs in the Indian scenario or in the Indian history, then killing of innocent people or massacre of innocent people happens. This I am going to talk about today in case of Bhopal gas tragedy. This event I have taken because this has happened in this month, recently in the beginning of this month, on 2nd December, 2nd December 2020. That massacre of these people, or killing of innocent people due to gas leakage at Bhopal. This is known as Bhopal gas tragedy or Bhopal gas Kand. It is known as Bhopal gas Kand happened, and in that it is said some people, okay, what you call, say the government records say of Madhya Pradesh, okay, government records say that only 1,000 or 2,000 people killed, but no, the people say, the residents of that city, okay, Bhopal, say that about 50,000, more than 50,000 people were killed. Okay, the massacre of 50,000 or more than 50,000 people occurred on that particular night. Okay, on that day, 2nd of December 1984. It was very bad tragedy, we can say. This was a tragedy, and in that, number of people were blinded. Okay, and even those blind people are still suffering. Some of them are still suffering. Okay, and whatever promises were kept are not kept by the government of in those days. So a lot of things happened. Okay, because of the. So I have to talk about not those events, political or politics. I am not to discuss about, because politics is not my scenario in this case. I have not to discuss about political leaders and what they did, what they did not do, whatever the event happened, that has happened, or that happened. Now, what are the position of the planet? Okay, transit of the planet in those days was what? Because of that same kind of conditions of planets, these kind of events can happen. Okay, and due to these parameters which we have studied, or which we know from Vedic astrology. Okay, Vedic astrology, we could discuss about all these parameters. So these parameters are, whenever they come again in the Indian scenario or in the history, I mean, okay, then the same kind of, or in the present scenario, wherever the transit of that kind of situation comes again, of the planetary conjunctions or planets, the same kind of event can happen in near future. So this is how we can just compare them. Okay, comparison of these kind of events is going to be done by me, because the historical events which I have studied, the history mostly is going to not repeated, but same thing cannot repeat, but similar kind of event can happen. Okay, similar, not the same, but it is similar. The parallel kind of events can happen. Okay, those kind of events can be described, can be explained with the help of planetary conditions, planetary transit. Okay, transit of the planets in those days or at that moment. What was the transit of the planets? I am going to discuss about. Okay, now this I'll compare with Mahabharata's event, because the similar situation is described. Some of the parameters are found in Mahabharata's event. Okay, when Kurukshetra or Mahabharata at Kurukshetra happened. Okay, in those days also the similar kind of transit of planets was happening or happened. Due to that, that massacre of, there were a number of other things which I'll talk about, that how many other parameters were also present at the time of Mahabharata. So that Kurukshetra happened, or Mahabharata at Kurukshetra happened, right? Kurukshetra war happened, or that battle among the brothers or cousins or all those people happened. So that I'll compare here. So this one of the comparisons, if is being what you call compare, or is just suitable here, or is matching, that means the similar kind of event happened because of these kind of situations. Okay, so those parameters I'll discuss about, but for that I'll dictate some paragraph from Mahabharata. Then you can imagine about that this is the same thing, and same parameters are here present in case of gas tragedy. So I've taken here data. What is the data here? 2nd December 1984, December 2, 1984. Time I have taken the two horoscopes I am going to discuss about. The position of planets or transit of the planets in two horoscopes which I always discuss about. One, because this event happened in 1984, so after the independence. So Independence Day's horoscope I am going to discuss about. What are the transitory, planetary conditions or transit of the planets in that Indian horoscope, okay, Independence Day's horoscope. And second, I always talk about as Varamir's horoscope, or Varamir gave the horoscope taking Capricorn as the ascendant, okay, Makar Rashi as the ascendant, or a Capricorn sign in the ascendant, the first house, that means Lagna. So in the Lagna, if I take Capricorn, this is this one, Capricorn, okay, or Capricorn or Makar Rashi in the Lagna, and this I have taken here according to Varamir. This is Indian horoscope, or Indian events are discussed on the basis of Capricorn as the Lagna, or Capricorn as the ascendant, considering ascendant Capricorn, okay, and on the basis of this, what the planetary conjunction or transit of the planet or position of the planets, or I mean different planets in different nakshatras, different constellations. What are the constellations, positions of the different planets in which constellation? That is going to define, being discussed here. I'll compare this with Mahabharata's time, how they are being compared, and that I'll dictate from one of the volumes of Mahabharata, because there are 12 volumes of Mahabharata. Total Mahabharata is translated into 12 volumes. Out of that, 5th volume, in which the battle or the war of Kurukshetra starts, Mahabharata war is started. Okay. Before that, Maharishi Vedvyas, who is the writer of Mahabharata, is discussing about all the future events to Dhritarashtra, the king Dhritarashtra. O monarch Dhritarashtra, here what I am going to talk about, because this is the planetary conditions, and all those conditions I will talk about, and how this is being compared here. And this is similar to the same kind of event which has happened here at the time of Bhopal gas tragedy. Okay, that is very important point to be noted down. Now let me first take that what is the position of the planets. Now let me take, this is Bhopal gas tragedy or data of that day. Okay, 2nd December 1984. Data is, the data are here. 10:10 a.m. I have taken. So at 10:10 a.m. the ascendant will be Capricorn. At 10:10 a.m. ascendant will come as Capricorn, taking Bhopal as the place of tragedy or place of event, right? So Bhopal is the place of birth, we can say place of birth, time of birth and date of birth. Date of birth is 2nd December 1984. Place is Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh, not Mahabharata, but Madhya Pradesh. This is in Madhya Pradesh, one of the states of India. Okay. So Indian state, Madhya Pradesh, where Bhopal is the capital city of Madhya Pradesh. So on that day, particular day, at this place, this gas tragedy or leakage of the gas happened, and because of that leakage of the gas, that poisonous gas, about 50,000 people were killed. Okay, at night time, this leakage, because of this leakage of the gas, and people died. Some of them died, some were blinded, and later they died. So this event, this major event, one of the, tragedy happened. Okay, so this tragical event, this tragedy happened on that particular day, 2nd December 1984. Okay, on that particular day. So this, what are the conditions? What are the transit of the planets on that particular day? Moon was in Pisces. So I have written down here nakshatras of the different planets here. Okay. Now here Capricorn is the Lagna, where Mars is positioned in Capricorn. Mars is exalted, they say, but Mars is in Shravan Nakshatra. Shravan Nakshatra is loaded by Moon. Okay. So Shravan Nakshatra, Mars is placed in Capricorn. Okay. In the ascendant of Indian horoscope. Okay. In the ascendant of the Indian horoscope. This is Indian horoscope according to Varamir, as I have talked about. And Varamir has taken Capricorn or Makar Rasi as the ascendant or Lagna for discussing about Indian events, Indian politics, Indian whatever the events happened in Indian continent, or in this subcontinent, Indian subcontinent. Okay, so in this country, India, or surrounding areas, whatever events happen, for that, this ascendant Capricorn, taking horoscope ascendant, is Capricorn, we discuss about all these events. So these events are being well defined with the help of this Varamir's horoscope, right, which he chosen for. I don't know what was the date on that particular day, but how he did choose, but mostly events of Indian Indian states or places in India, all the events which happened can be described easily with the help of this Capricorn ascendant. Then second horoscope, I always say that Independence Day's horoscope, on 15th August at night, 14th and 15th August night. 14th night and 15th is starting. So on the 15th of August at I've taken here 00:15 minutes, and on that particular day, what were the horoscopes ascendant? Taurus was the ascendant. That horoscope I have not taken, but what is the transit of the planet on in that Indian horoscope? This is Independence Day's horoscope, right? Independence Day's horoscope. What is the position of the planets? And with the help of these planetary positions in different constellations, different nakshatras, I will talk about that what were the possibility of this kind of event can happen whenever this kind of situation comes again, okay? Or some of the parameters are just matching, you will find. But in Mahabharata, number of other parameters were also there that I'll discuss about. I'll dictate some of the points here, right? And those points will verify that yes, whenever these kind of situations are happening. And I have taken almost, some of the historical events. I'll talk about what was the China-India war in 1962. What were the positions of the planets in those days, right? And different invaders who came to India, and they killed number of innocent people. And for that event, what were the conditions of the planet in those days? And whenever this kind of situation happens in India, then some of the tragedy happens. It may be a flood, it may be an earthquake, it may be anything which can take the life of the people. Okay, the people are killed, innocent people are killed, and after that, we are just emotion. This is history. This is destiny of every country. We cannot say that only India suffers or only our country suffers, right? Almost all the countries all over the world, whenever this kind of events happen in that country, earthquake comes, floods comes, okay, any kind of other tragedy can happen, right? Or you may say that what you call that different kind of waves comes, right? Or different kind of scenario can come. Okay, that can take lives of number of people. Now let us take what are the position of the planets in the nakshatras, constellations in which different planets were posited on that particular day. Now come to the point. Sun was in Anuradha nakshatra. And Anuradha nakshatra is lorded by Saturn, right? So Sun was in Anuradha nakshatra. Sun is here in Scorpio with Ketu. Now try to understand, this is Rahu Ketu axis. Sun was afflicted by Rahu Ketu axis. So Rahu was afflicting Sun here. Sun was afflicted. Okay, so this is how Rahu Ketu axis. Rahu Ketu axis. Rahu is in Kritika nakshatra. This is very important. Rahu is in which nakshatra? Rahu is in Kritika nakshatra, third quarter. Kritika nakshatra, third quarter. And Kritika nakshatra is lorded by Sun. The Sun is the lord of Kritika nakshatra. Ashwini Bharani Kritika. Right? So Kritika nakshatra is lorded by Sun. The Sun is afflicted, or nakshatra of Sun is afflicted by Rahu. This is very much ominous sign that whenever Rahu afflicts Kritika nakshatra, if it is not aspected by Sun or other beneficial planets are not aspecting this, then something can happen. I mean, some bad event can happen. So this tragedy happened. The reason is Rahu was Kritika in Kritika nakshatra, third quarter. Okay, and Sun was also afflicted by this because Sun was in Rahu Ketu axis. Right? This situation is very much ominous. Rahu Ketu axis. Sun is also with Ketu here. So Rahu is afflicting Sun, and Sun's nakshatra is also afflicted by Rahu. Rahu is afflicting Kritika nakshatra. You will surprise that in Mahabharata's time, Rahu was also afflicting Kritika nakshatra. Sun and Moon both were afflicted by Rahu. As Maharshi Vyas says, that nakshatra, that this this new moon, this is new moon time. This is the new moon time has come. Eclipse, Rahu Ketu eclipse, or we say lunar eclipse or sun eclipse, both solar eclipse or lunar eclipse, both are happening. Means both sun and moon are with Rahu. Rahu is in Kritika nakshatra. Rahu is afflicting the Kritika nakshatra, and sun and moon are posited with Rahu. That means that was new moon day. And again, in Mahabharata, Maharshi Vyas says that Dhritarashtra, monarch, this kind of situation very rarely occurs. That after 13 days, a fortnight of 13 days, mostly, lunar, that lunation time or lunation fortnight is of 15 days, 14 days or 16 days. because this is Indian, what you call calculation of time with the help of moon, that known as lunar or lunation period, right? Lunar fortnight or lunation fortnight. So lunar fortnight is mostly occurs of 14 days, 15 days, mostly of 15 days, but sometimes it is 14 days, sometimes it is 16 days, okay? Because sometimes moon takes from full moon to new moon to full moon, right? This position, whenever Amavasya to Purnamasi or Purnamasi to Amavasya, this time of moon coming from new moon to full moon to new moon is of 15 days. Mostly we take 15 days, but it may occur 15 days, 16 days, sometimes it is 14 days. But at Mahabharata time, Maharshi Vyas says that after the full moon time, the new moon period when sun and moon both are together, okay, both are at new moon time, this is new moon position, and Rahu is with them, Rahu is afflicting sun and moon, and Rahu is affecting the Kritika Nakshatra. This is Kritika Nakshatra here. Rahu is in Kritika Nakshatra at the time of Bhopal tragedy. At the time of Mahabharata also, Rahu was in Kritika Nakshatra. But with Rahu, sun and moon were also there. And that fortnight, lunar fortnight, was of 13 days. Maharshi Vyas says that, okay, monarch Dhritarashtra, see here, this kind of strange situation very rarely occurs. This lunar fortnight of 15 days usually occurs, but it is of 13 days only. After 13 days, from full moon to new moon, this event has happened. The moon from full moon time to new moon, with sun it has come only within 13 days. After 13 days, the new moon event has happened, the new moon day has come. Now, Maharshi Vyas is like this. So this kind of situation is very rare, and this is happening because Rahu is affecting sun and moon. Okay, and moon and sun both are in Kritika Nakshatra. Rahu is also in Kritika Nakshatra. So Kritika Nakshatra is being afflicted by Rahu. And this here, at the time of Bhopal tragedy, Rahu was in Kritika Nakshatra. This is third quarter or third pada. Kritika Nakshatra's third pada. Rahu is there. Rahu is afflicting Kritika Nakshatra. And Kritika Nakshatra is lorded by sun. So sun's lordship is being afflicted by Rahu. And Rahu is very much afflicting sun. So this is how Rahu is afflicting sun. Right? Or Kritika Nakshatra. So Kritika Nakshatra is afflicted by Rahu. This is one of the ominous thing which was responsible for tragedy or the event of occurrence of Bhopal gas tragedy, you may say. Bhopal gas tragedy occurred because of Rahu was in Kritika Nakshatra. Okay, this was Rahu Ketu axis in which sun was also there. Sun was afflicted by Rahu Ketu axis. Right, so this is one of the major possibilities, parameters, which is responsible for this kind of tragedy, this kind of events occur, okay, killing or massacre of innocent people may occur. So this is one of the positions. Now, this is Mahabharata's time horoscope I have framed here according to Maharshi Vyas is describing this. Okay, this event has been described by Maharshi Vyas. That what is happening, king, this is going to happen. So, very much massacre of different people, friendly people will occur. Okay, different. Now let me read or dictate the same kind of activity from Mahabharata. Okay, Mahabharata I have noted down here so that one cannot, take that, in a wrong manner that I have just taken one of the books, I am publishing that book or this and that. No, I am not making publicity of any book, but Mahabharata is very much relevant to Indian scenarios. Most of the people just, when we read Mahabharata, every event or every expression of Maharshi Vyas is just describing the Indian scenario. Everything is similar to Indian scenario, and he is describing those events. Now I am just reading that how Maharshi Vyas says to Dhritarashtra. Some of the dictations I am taking. Now Mahabharata, in Mahabharata volume number 5, this I am giving you, that volume number 5, when Kurukshetra war started, Mahabharata war started. Okay, before that, Vyas is describing everything, what the situation of the planets, what the planetary conditions or positions of the planet in those days, and because of that this kind of massacre is going to happen. He is forwarding or what you call warning king, Dhritarashtra, because he was his relations, or he was from his generation, right? He was his generation. So this is how he was forewarning this, or forwarding him that this kind of events is going to happen. So this is the situation of the planet. I'm just reading the same, I'm dictating the same statements I've taken from volume number 5 of Mahabharata, in which Maharshi Vyas says to Dhritarashtra, what he's talking about. I'm not taking, more time, just taking some of the possibility, because a lot of description is given about planetary transactions or conjunctions of planet, or transit of the planet on that particular event, on that day. Now let me read it. Now he says that one of the effulgence of fire. Now he says that Pushya Nakshatra is being afflicted by one comet. Comet means Dhumketu. One comet, say a star which is having any planet or star type of situation, is afflicting the Pushya constellation. He says, the position, the fierce planet Rahu. He says, now the Mars possessed of effulgence of fire, right? Effulgence of fire, wheelings, circuitous by, or steered in a line with the constellation Shravan. In the line of constellation Shravan Nakshatra, in that line Mars is situated. But he says, overridden by Brihaspati, and overridden by Brihaspati, he says. Now again he says that both the planet, which planet Brihaspati, and Sun and Sunny, he says, and Sunny, Brihaspati and Sunny, both the planets Brihaspati and Shani, right, having approached the constellation called Vishakha. Vishakha constellation or Nakshatra is being approached by these two planets, Saturn and Jupiter. Jupiter and Saturn both are approaching the constellation called Vishakha, and have become stationary there for a whole year. He said, for the whole year, full year, these two planets, Saturn and Jupiter, will stay or will be stationary in this constellation Vishakha. Now here, Vishakha Nakshatra, Saturn is in Vishakha Nakshatra also. Here Saturn is in Tula Rasi, or you may say Libra sign, and Saturn says Vishakha Nakshatra, third quarter again. So Saturn is also in Vishakha Nakshatra. When Saturn comes in Vishakha Nakshatra, Lord is Jupiter. So Jupiter is also, Vishakha Nakshatra is afflicted by Saturn. So when Saturn is coming to the Vishakha Nakshatra, the same kind of tragedy is going to happen. So massacre of people has happened. Now he says both the planets. Now in that situation, Jupiter and Saturn both were in Vishakha Nakshatra. Jupiter is the lord of Vishakha Nakshatra, and Saturn is afflicting that Vishakha Nakshatra. But here Saturn is in Vishakha Nakshatra. He says, I've written down here what is the position of the planets according to the description given by Ved Vyas Rishi in Mahabharata. I've taken the Mahabharata periods, transit of planets in different constellations, in different nakshatras. So that nakshatra's position, where planets were situated at the time of Mahabharata, I've described here. So those possibilities are taken here, that how Mahabharata war was occurring and was, or you may say, occurred due to the planetary conditions, the positions of the planets in those days. So the two conditions are described, that Rahu is afflicting Kritika Nakshatra, and Rahu is was afflicting Sun and Moon also in those days, because that was eclipse, solar and lunar eclipse happened, means both Sun and Moon were with Rahu in Kritika Nakshatra. So that was solar and lunar eclipse, that means new moon time, right? That was the new moon time, Amavasya time, where Sun and Moon both were together with Rahu. That was how Mahabharata, at the time of Mahabharata. Now in this case, Rahu is afflicting Kritika Nakshatra. Rahu is in Kritika Nakshatra. Yes, guys. So I was talking about that how the same kind of situation is happening. I have taken these two horoscopes, right, of Indian horoscopes. I mean, in which the transit of the planets at the time of Bhopal tragedy I am describing, and this is similar. I mean, positions of the planets which occurred at the time of Mahabharata. As Mahasi Vyas says, that the same kind of situation, this kind of situation is going to happen. So a lot of people will be killed, he says, to monarch or king. The trust king is being said by him, being warned by him that try to understand, listen, O king, O monarch, the trust, this is going to happen. Nobody can avoid that situation, because this kind of planetary conjunction of planetary positions is there. Okay, so what the positions I'm just talking about, that both the planets Brihaspati means Jupiter and Sunny means Saturn, both Jupiter and Saturn having approached the constellation called Vishakha. Vishakha Nakshatra is being approached or is being approached by these two planets, Jupiter and Sun or Saturn. Okay, now he says again that have become stationary, and they are stationary there for a whole year. For the whole year, these two planets are in Vishakha Nakshatra. Now here, Saturn is in Vishakha Nakshatra. See here, Saturn is in Vishakha Nakshatra. At the time of Bhopal gas tragedy, you can see, you can draw this horoscope. Cast this horoscope, taking this timetable. Time is 2nd December 1984. Time I have taken 10:10 a.m. in this case, and Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh, right? If I take Bhopal as the place of this event, and then you can draw this horoscope, and this horoscope is going to give you the position of the planets and different constellations also. Because why I have taken constellations here, not degrees, etc. Why? Because constellations, regarding constellations, in Mahabharata, Vyas Rishi says to monarch Dhritarashtra, he talk about all these planetary conditions. Planets are in this constellation, in this nakshatra, and because of that, so that I can compare these, these parameters with Bhopal gas tragedy's event, right? This event, Bhopal gas tragedy, happened on 2nd December 1984, and the same kind of situations of the planet, conditions of planet, transit of the planets was also there at the time of Mahabharata, as Maharshi Vyas says. Because why I compare these, so that one can understand that this kind of event can happen at any time. Whenever this kind of situation comes, okay, we can just foretell or forecast regarding anything. We can predict about any event which is going to happen by going through the transit of the planets, position, movements of the planets, or position of the planets from the what you call timetable, or may say that known as timetable given, in which longitude, latitude of the planets are given. Okay, so that is how we can discuss about it from the panchams or from ephemeri. Okay, so ephemeris or that planetary conditions is given in some of the panchams and some of the timetables or books are given here. So I have already talked about all those things. You can see the position of the planets, longitude of the planets in different constellations, different nakshatras, and there you can study that what the position of the planets, and this same kind of position whenever occurs, the bad event can happen, the killing of even the people can happen, massacre of people can happen. Okay, so this is the same parameters. Those parameters I'm just comparing. Okay, so this I have already compared. This Saturn is in Vishakha Nakshatra. He says that Saturn and Jupiter both are in Vishakha Nakshatra, Vishakha constellation, and they are stationary for whole year, because Jupiter always remains in one sign for whole year, right? 1 year. Because after that it may be direct or retrograded, and because of that it may remain, or Jupiter can remain in one nakshatra. Here he says, Maharshi Vyas says that Jupiter and Saturn both are in Vishakha Nakshatra. For the whole year they will remain there, right? For the whole year they are stationary in Vishakha Nakshatra, right? But in this case, Vishakha Nakshatra is being affected by Saturn. Saturn is in Vishakha Nakshatra at the time of Bhopal gas tragedy. See here the comparison. I talked about two comparisons. that Saturn is in Vishaka Nakshatra, okay, Rahu is in Kritika Nakshatra. This is also talked about by Maharishi Vyas. Again he says, let me just talk about. Now he said the new moon means the moon and the sun are afflicted by Rahu. Such strange eclipses, both the lunar and solar. That means both, this is sun and moon both are afflicted by Rahu. Rahu is in Kritika Nakshatra, sun and moon are also in Kritika Nakshatra both. That means this solar eclipse and lunar eclipse, right? Chandragrahan and Suryagrahan both are occurring. These two eclipses are occurring on the same day. He says, Maharishi Vyas is talking about in Mahabharata. I am just dictating the same statements from volume number 5 of Mahabharata. Now he says, sun are afflicted by Rahu. Such strange eclipses, both the lunar and solar. Okay, forebode, he says, it forebode means it tells, it predict, or it forewarning, or is warning a great slaughter. Maharishi Vyas says that this kind of eclipses, okay, is foreboding or is forebode a great slaughter. Rahu of fierce deeds, he says again, Rahu of fierce deeds is also, O monarch, afflicting the constellation Kritika, Kritika Nakshatra or Kritika constellation is a group of stars, is being afflicted by Rahu, sun and moon, because eclipse is occurring whenever Rahu is with sun, solar eclipse occurs. Whenever Rahu is with moon, lunar eclipse occurs. So, but both are, sun and moon, both are with Rahu. That means solar eclipse and lunar eclipse both are occurring. These two eclipses are occurring together. So eclipse time is also very much dangerous for this kind of events in India. Now, so he says that this great slaughter, Rahu of fierce deeds, is also, O monarch, afflicting the constellation Kritika. Kritika Nakshatra is being afflicted by Rahu. Sun and moon are also with Rahu. I have taken here moon, sun and Rahu in Kritika Nakshatra. This is Mahabharata. I have taken Mahabharata planetary positions, okay, as it described by Maharishi Vyas in Mahabharata. If you go to the whole, 12 volumes are there of Mahabharata. I have taken those, I have read all the 12 volumes of Mahabharata, which are English translation of 18th century, 19th or 1850 or 1857 centuries written books I have gone through. And from there I have noted down this statement of Maharishi Vyas, in which Maharishi Vyas talks about the positions of the planets at the time of Mahabharata war. Okay, so what is going to, he is foreboding. He says that this is forebode means foretell, is going to occur, this kind of event can happen, a massacre of, he says, a great massacre or slaughter. Okay, forebode a great slaughter. Forebode means is predicting about a massacre of great massacre or slaughter will happen, right? This kind of, he says, solar and lunar eclipse both are occurring. Kritika Nakshatra, Rahu is there, Rahu is afflicting Kritika Nakshatra. And at the time of Bhopal gas tragedy, Rahu is also in Kritika Nakshatra. Saturn is in Vishaka Nakshatra. And he also says here, Vyas Rishi says that both Jupiter and Saturn are in Vishaka Nakshatra. They are stationary there for whole year. Okay, so they are not moving here and there, but they are staying in the same nakshatra for whole year. Their conditions may be that it is becoming Saturn or Jupiter can become direct, then retrograde. It can remain for the whole year in one nakshatra. That is not a very strange thing. So this is also happening at that time. This kind of, all these comparisons we do and we find that what is a strange thing. The same kind of situation is occurring whenever these positions of the planets is coming in near future or near, present time. So whenever this kind of situation comes, the same event can happen at any time. This is how the Vedic astrology talks about all these events. Okay, whatever the past events have happened, I'm just describing, comparing, explaining all those past events which have affected the Indian people or Indian citizens or public, Indian public has been affected by these kind of events. So those events, the past events, I am taking one by one. I have in the fifth one I took what you call that, one of the events. What was that event? And okay, I took that destroying of Ram temple. Okay, now Ram temple is being built, or is being what you call ordered by Supreme Court that Ram temple is going to be built. Is going to be built. So there it is not a problem. The destruction of that Babri mosque, Babri disputed site by the Ram Bhakta, that I have already discussed about. That what is the situation of the plant or position of the plant on that particular day. So you can see that in my fifth prediction. Prediction number 5, I have talked about one of the past event. The same thing, I am again taking this Bhopal gas tragedy, and on that particular day, Bhopal gas tragedy, where what are the conditions of the planets in Bhopal on that particular day, okay, or Indian scenario, or the position of the planets. So that I am talking about. Okay. Again, he says that Ketu is in Andolan Nakshatra, Rahu in Kritika Nakshatra, Saturn Vishaka Nakshatra, Venus is in Uttar Ashad Nakshatra, Uttar Ashad Nakshatra, loaded by Sun. Okay, then Jupiter is in Purva Ashad in this case. Venus is the lord of Purva Ashad Nakshatra, third quarter. Jupiter is. Mercury is in Mool Nakshatra, Mool Nakshatra is loaded by Ketu. Now, Mercury, Venus, and Saturn, these are the friends of Rahu. That means other planets are enemical to Rahu. So Rahu is friendly to Saturn, Venus, and Mercury, and other planets are not good for Rahu. So that means Sun is enemy to Rahu, Moon is the enemy to Rahu, Jupiter, right? Jupiter is also enemy to Rahu, Mars is enemy to Rahu. So all other planets are, all those remaining 5 planets, because for 3 planets I have taken 6 other planets. Jupiter, Saturn is, I have already Saturn, Venus, and Mercury. These are the 3 friends of Rahu, and other planets remain like Mars, Moon, Sun, Jupiter. These 4 planets, and after that, Mars is also there. Mars I have taken, Moon I have taken, Jupiter I have taken, Sun. Okay, so these 4 planets other than Rahu, and Ketu is just opposite of Rahu. So Rahu Ketu axis we see. Ketu is friendly with these planets, but Rahu is inimical to these planets. Rahu Ketu axis. In Rahu Ketu axis, whenever Sun comes with Rahu or Ketu, then Sun is being affected by Rahu, because Rahu Ketu axis is there. So in this case also, Sun is with, at the time of Bhopal gas tragedy, Sun was with Ketu. Sun is with Ketu. Rahu is affecting Sun here. So whenever Sun affected by the Rahu Ketu axis, or in the Rahu Ketu axis, Sun comes, solar eclipse or lunar eclipse occurs. Some of the, there are other conditions also which are mostly affecting this constitution. We cannot say that whenever solar eclipse comes and solar eclipse occurs, then that kind of tragedy can occur. No, there are other conditions also. That like Saturn is in Vishaka Nakshatra, Rahu is in Kritika Nakshatra, Sun and Moon both were in Kritika Nakshatra at the time of Mahabharata. That because of that massacre occurred, that slaughter of the people occurred. Okay, that great slaughter of the people occurred on that particular day, as Mahasi Vyas says. Now again, I am taking some more. Let me dictate all the same thing. Sorry. Again, he said that this kind of strange situation where solar eclipse and lunar eclipse both are occurring after 13 days from full moon to new moon. This event of lunar fortnight has occurred after 13 days only, or within 13 days. After 13 days, mostly lunar fortnight comes either of 15 days or after 14 days or 16 days, 16, 15 or 14. These are the mostly occurring or occurrence of lunar fortnight, right? Or from new moon to full moon to new moon. That event occurs mostly 15 days, 16 days or 14 days. But 13 days is the very strange situation when lunar fortnight occurs within 13 days. He says that from full moon to new moon situation has occurred within 13 days, or after 13th day, the lunar eclipse and solar eclipse is occurring after full moon. This is now new moon period. at the time of Mahabharata, Vyas Vyas says. This is how the situation is occurring. So the two similarities are here. That Saturn is in Vishaka Nakshatra, Rahu is in Kritika Nakshatra, Rahu is afflicting Sun, is also there here. Okay, so three positions. Sun is afflicted by Rahu, Rahu is afflicting Kritika Nakshatra. Okay, and the Saturn is in Vishaka Nakshatra, that is also occurring. This is situation, right? Again, so now in case of Indian Independence Day's horoscope, I am talking about. Now Rahu is again in the ascendant. Now ascendant is in Rohini ascendant in this case. When I have taken the time, 17:30 hours. 17:30 means 5:30 p.m. This is 5:30 p.m. If I take 5:30 p.m. in the evening time, because in the evening this event occurred. At night time on 2nd December 1984, at night time the gas leakage occurred. Okay, and the whole night, and this is the proper situation of the planets here. But the planetary conditions on that night time or in the evening time, this is 5:30 period. I have taken 5:30 p.m. so that the ascendant is Taurus. Okay, this Taurus sign or Taurus sign. This is Risav sign or Risav Rasi, second sign in the ascendant. This is Indian independence horoscopes, Lagna or ascendant, right? That I have already described. That at the time of Indian independence, this ascendant Taurus sign or Risav Rasi was taken by Pandit Shastri, that Hardev Sharma Trivedi Shastri, and that person, that astrologer, great astrologer, he casted this horoscope. He cast this horoscope and formed this horoscope at that particular place. But and that I have not taken that horoscope in a proper manner. Only I have taken the ascendant. So in that ascendant, what the transit of the planet on that 2nd December, 1984. This is the transit of the planets in the Indian horoscope. This is how it is being described. So moon is in the same sign, Pisces sign. So I have written down here nakshatra. Ascendant here is in Rohini nakshatra, right? At 5:30 p.m. on the same day, 2nd December 1984. So 2nd December 1984, ascendant was Rohini I have taken here. So ascendant is Rohini nakshatra. Sun is in Jyeshtha nakshatra. Jyeshtha nakshatra, now from Anuradha to Jyeshtha nakshatra, first quarter, because there in the morning time, 10:10 a.m. Sun was in Anuradha nakshatra here. Sun, here it is Sun, Anuradha nakshatra, fourth quarter, ending, or fourth quarter means ending quarter. Anuradha nakshatra's ending quarter, Sun was there at in the morning time on 2nd December 1984. But in the evening time, Sun comes to the next nakshatra, Jyeshtha nakshatra. I've written down here, Sun is in Jyeshtha nakshatra, first quarter. Jyeshtha nakshatra is lorded by Mercury. Mercury is the lord of this nakshatra. Moon is in Uttar Bhadrapad nakshatra, third quarter. And Saturn is the lord of Uttar Bhadrapad nakshatra. Now Mars is in Shravan nakshatra. Shravan nakshatra is lorded by Moon, third quarter, in which Mars was there in Shravan nakshatra. Mercury, Mool nakshatra. Mercury is in Mool nakshatra, same. In the morning time, in the evening also, Mercury was in Mool nakshatra, right? So third quarter, Ketu here. Ketu is the lord of Mool nakshatra. Now here Venus, Mercury was in Mool nakshatra. Here it was in second quarter. In the third quarter, in the evening time, Mercury has come in the third quarter of Mool nakshatra, right? This is second quarter in the morning time. In the evening time, Moon has come in the third quarter. This is the position. Mars was in Shravan nakshatra, third quarter. Mercury, Mool nakshatra, third quarter. Again, I have talked about. Jupiter was Purva Ashad nakshatra. Jupiter on that particular day was in Purva Ashad nakshatra, third quarter. And Venus is the lord of Purva Ashad nakshatra. This I have written down here. Then Venus was in Uttara Ashad nakshatra. Uttara Ashad, Purva Ashad, Uttara Ashad. Just near to each other. Means they are together, Venus and Jupiter and Mercury. But they are in two different nakshatras. Venus is in Uttara Ashad nakshatra, first quarter. And Jupiter is in Purva Ashad nakshatra, just one nakshatra before. Both are together, Venus and Jupiter, Mercury. Mercury is also there. Mercury is in, as I have told you about, Mool nakshatra. So Mercury is in Mool nakshatra, third quarter. Okay. Moola, Purva Ashad, Uttara Ashad. Tirth nakshatras are coming one after the other. This is Mula, Purvashad, Uttarashad. These three planets are together in the same sign, Sagittarius sign, and they are in three nakshatra, different nakshatra, but very close to each other. Okay, these three nakshatra, whenever Jupiter and Venus come together, this is also very strange to predict, right? Some of the astrologers, Indian astrologers or Vedic astrologers, they also predict with the help of Venus and Jupiter's position. Whenever Jupiter and Venus are together, or they are opposite to each other, whenever their situation comes closer to each other, that is also being predicted by some of the astrologers. Okay, but I take them very strange situation whenever Venus Jupiter comes together in the same nakshatra or just near to each other. Then they are this kind of event is going to occur. I mean, this is also very much a strange situation. Okay, this transit of Venus and Jupiter together, they are coming together closer to each other. This situation, okay, is also very strange. The people are very much surprised or can't take decisions at that moment. That kind of situation comes. But both are, one is enemy, other is neutral to each other. So that this is not bitter enemy, but just enemy. So they are enemy to each other. This situation, whenever Jupiter and Venus come together, then also the same situation comes. I mean, this kind of event can also happen. That is also one of the foreboding situation. Okay, foreboding situation or foreboding situation. Now, so these three planets are together: Venus, Mercury, and Jupiter. So Venus, Jupiter, whenever they come together, that is also very strange situation. This kind of event can happen. The situation when a person cannot take decision that what to do. That situation comes whenever they are coming together. On that particular day also, Bhopal gets tragedy day. People were not able to decide about that. What should we do? Okay, or what should be done at that moment? So that was not decided immediately. And the person who was owner of that, what you call company, which was running this gas plant or something, that person went away to USA, right? USA. So from that person, money was not extracted, was not taken by the Prime Minister of that time. Okay, so that was the, I mean, I'm not going to political things, but the position is this situation. This is the situation that when a person is just surprised and not able to understand that what should be done. Okay, so a strange situation comes in mental position comes because of Venus and Jupiter when they are together. So this is also one of the positions here at the time of Bhopal gas tragedy event, right? The Bhopal gas tragedy event occurred on 2nd December 1984. On that day, there was gas leakage in the plant in Bhopal, and because of that gas leakage, more than 50,000 people were killed, right? But the claim by the government, because those secrets were hidden by the government of that time, and the number was very much limited. Said that they said that only 2,000, 3,000 to whatever people were killed, not more than this. But the various sources says residents of that city say residents of that city say that about more than 50,000 people were killed. They were blinded. Some were killed immediately. Okay, so this is how the situation is occurred. This is Bhopal gas tragedy. So this situation, I mean, this kind of situation can occur. Why I compared with the events from the scriptures? Because the rishis have given these kind of similar situations because of the position of the planets and the transit of the planet in those days, right? Skanda Purana is full of these kind of events. Padma Purana is full of these events. Mahabharata, Ramayana. In Ramayana also a lot of things regarding planetary conditions, the conjunctions of the planets is being discussed about. I can just talk about a lot of things from the scriptures, but I am taking Mahabharata as the very great proof because Maharishi Vyas has written Mahabharata and he is also propagator of astrology. Vedic astrology is being propagated by 18 rishis, which I have already discussed in the first or second lecture series, or maybe you can see my first or second lecture series in which I talked about that how many rishis, those 18 rishis in which Vyas is Shurya Pitamaha Vyaso Vasishto Atri Parashara, right? These rishis, I'm just talking about some of the rishis. So Vyas is among them. Surya Pitamaha Vyaso Vasishto Vyasa Rishi. Vyasa means Vyasa Rishi. So this Ved Vyasa Rishi who has written Mahabharata, he is one of the propagators of Vedic astrology. So because of that, he is talking about a lot of things, lot of events which is going to occur, which are occurring in those days in Mahabharata's time. So he is talking about the events which occur. So the same situation, planetary conditions have occurred at the time of Bhopal gas tragedy. I am just comparing this event. I am talking about this from Mahabharata. What is the situation of the Mahabharata? Let me talk about other planets also. Now he says, Maharishi Vyas says in Mahabharata to king or monarch Dhritarashtra, he says that Pushya Nakshatra is being afflicted by one of the comet. Comet means Dhumketu, or comet which is coming. The comet is afflicting Pushya Nakshatra. Now Pushya Nakshatra comes in Cancer sign. This Pushya Nakshatra is afflicted by a comet, C-O-M-E-T, comet. Comet is afflicting Pushya Nakshatra. Very powerful comet has afflicted Pushya Nakshatra in Mahabharata. Maharishi Vyas says. Then again he says Mars is in Magha Nakshatra. Mars is in Magha Nakshatra. Magha Nakshatra means in Cancer, in Leo sign. So Mars is in Leo sign. Rahu, Sun and Moon, all three are in Kritika Nakshatra. They are, Kritika Nakshatra is being afflicted by Rahu. And the Sun and Moon are also there with the Rahu. So there is lunar eclipse and solar eclipse together with Rahu, because Rahu is afflicting the Kritika Nakshatra. And in Kritika Nakshatra, both Sun and Moon are there. This is how solar eclipse, lunar eclipse occurring, and the event is occurring only this lunar fortnight has occurred after 13 days. On the 13th day, from full moon time to new moon period has occurred. Maharishi Vyas says, this is I've talked about, okay. Then Mercury is not talked about, Mercury is not given, but I have taken this because Mercury is just near to Sun. It may be in the previous house or the second house or near to. And Venus is given. Venus is in Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra, he says. Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra is in Pisces sign. So Pisces sign, Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra, Venus is there. Venus is just given near the Sun. There is no doubt about this. So Venus is in Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra. Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra. Here Venus in Uttarashadha Nakshatra, no problem. Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra, Venus is there at the time of Mahabharata. Then he says, okay, Ketu is in Jyeshtha Nakshatra. Maharishi Vyas says that Ketu is in Jyeshtha Nakshatra, in Scorpio sign. Jyeshtha Nakshatra I have taken here. Saturn and Jupiter both are in Vishakha Nakshatra, in Libra sign. Okay, the Libra sign of Tula Rasi, Jupiter and Saturn both are posited there. Then Mars is in Magha Nakshatra. So all the 9 planets are described at the time of Mahabharata. Maharishi Vyas, according to Maharishi Vyas, this was the position of the planets in different constellations, different nakshatras. Okay, as he says. So what are those similar events or similar occurrence or similar transit of the planets? One is Saturn is in Vishakha Nakshatra, because Saturn and Jupiter, time of Mahabharata, were in Vishakha Nakshatra. Second is Rahu is in Kritika Nakshatra. Rahu is afflicting Sun, and Rahu is in Kritika Nakshatra. Kritika Nakshatra is being afflicted. Kritika constellation is being afflicted by Rahu. This one event has occurred. Second, he says that Moon and Sun both are, or Sun is also afflicted by Rahu. So Sun is also afflicted, was afflicted at the time of Mahabharata. And at the time of this Bhopal gas tragedy also, Sun was afflicted by Rahu. Rahu Ketu axis, Sun was there with Ketu here. And Rahu Ketu axis, Sun is there. So Sun is afflicted by Rahu. Rahu is afflicting Kritika Nakshatra also. Kritika Nakshatra is lorded by Sun. So this is how this event is occurring, right? So he says that this kind of event very rarely occurs, that after 13 days the new moon period has occurred. Okay, 13th day, lunar eclipse or solar eclipse has occurred. Rahu is Kritika Nakshatra, Rahu and the Sun and Moon, all the 3 are in Kritika Nakshatras. Okay, that is how Maharishi Vyas has described in Mahabharata. The same situation, same similarity of the positions of the planets has occurred at the time of gas tragedy at Bhopal in 1984 on 2nd December. So this is the December, 2020. So because of this, because on 2nd December this year, in the beginning of this week, right, this kind of things were talking about, okay, were talked about. So because of that, I have taken this event, gas tragedy on 2nd December 1984. Okay, so because I was just impressed by this. Yes, friends. So what are the conditions here? So I have compared that this kind of event or massacre of people can occur whenever the eclipse time, solar eclipse and lunar eclipse is there. Okay, so we have to study about eclipse period, and then whenever Saturn and Moon they are together, or they are affecting each other, they are opposite each other, and the Rahu and Ketu axis. In Rahu and Ketu axis, Saturn and Mars are also there. Saturn is with Ketu and Mars is with Rahu. This I have already talked about, all those parameters I have talked about. But this I have compared this with the help of Mahabharata's time. Okay, Maharishi Vyas, whatever he has talked about in Mahabharata. So I have compared this even because reason is these three parameters are just compared with Bhopal gas tragedy's time. So Bhopal gas tragedy occurred, region was this, and that I have taken here. Okay, so all these, things whenever occurs, the same kind of situation can occur here. Okay, this is how we predict about. We always see these kind of events in our scriptures, or the scriptures are given these kind of situations. They have described in vivid, in large, all these kind of events that this is going to happen. These are the foreboding. Okay, these are the omens occurring. This kind of event can happen, or this is going to happen. So, just take your son, your children in confidence. In Mahabharata, Maharishi Vyas says to Dhritarashtra that just ask your children, Duryodhana and others, that don't do this, otherwise this kind of great slaughter is going to occur. This is the situation of the plan. Nobody is going to stop it. Your son is not going to mend his ways, so this kind of event is going to happen. He says he is foreboding, or he is warning his, that king, Dhritarashtra and his whatever the things are. Dhritarashtra was asking him that please tell me that how I can understand, I can read about, I can know about all the events which are occurring in Kurukshetra or at Kurukshetra. Then the sight was given to Sanjay. Sanjay was the the charioteer. Sanjay was charioteer of King Dhritarashtra. So he charioteer Sanjay was given very good sight. That they say that kind of sight he can visualize everything, as he was saying, or to Sanjay, that you can visualize everything. You can understand what is going to happen or is happening in Mahabharata. Okay, or at Kurukshetra in Mahabharata war, whatever is happening, every point of that will be understood by you. You can narrate those events to Dhritarashtra. I am just blessing you. He blessed Sanjay just to tell the stories of everything to Dhritarashtra. So at that time, before that, he was talking about these events, okay, or these planetary conjunctions or planetary transit he has talked about. That I have compared here. I have just dictated some of the points here. Maharishi Vyas says. Now again I am talking about that. What he talks about? He again talks about. Okay, so constellation Kritika, Rahu is there. Now he said a lunar fortnight had hitherto constitute of 14 days. Now he says that this is a very strange thing, that this lunar eclipse or solar eclipse has occurred, or from full moon to new moon, this event has occurred only in 13 days. This is a very strange thing he talks about. Further he says that a lunar fortnight, okay, had hitherto means up to now, constituted of 14 days only. 14 days or 15 days or 16 days, it says 14 days or 15 days or usually or as usual or 16 days, right? It may be 16 days, 15 days or 14 days nearby, but not of 13 days. This event from full moon to new moon has occurred only in 13 days. On 13th day, this kind of event has happened, he says to King Dhritarashtra. He says that this, however, I never knew that the day of new moon used to be, would be on the 13th day. 13th day, new moon will occur, a new moon event will occur from the first lunation or the day of full moon, he says. From full moon to new moon, this event has occurred on 13th day. 13 days, only within 13 days this event is occurring, from full moon to new moon. Right, on 13th day, from the same, so this, and okay, and get, of course, of the same month, or in the same month, he says, and end of the same month, and of course, in the same month, both the moon and the sun have undergone eclipses. Right? First, the lunar eclipse was there because at the full moon time, lunar eclipse was there, and then lunar eclipse. And he says that this solar eclipse and lunar eclipse has occurred within 13 days, both in the same month. In the same month, both the moon and the sun have undergone eclipses on the 13th days. On the 13th days from the same, so, and yet in course of the same time, and yet in course of the same month, both solar eclipse and lunar eclipses occur. These two blazing planets, he says further, he says that these two blazing planets, that is Brihaspati and Sunny, having approached the constellation called Visakha, have become stationary there for a whole year. This I have already talked about, for the whole year. And okay, and three, he says, and three lunations, twice meeting together in course of the same lunar fortnight. Same lunar fortnight means within 13 days, the same lunar fortnight. This has happened. The duration, okay, of the letter is shortened by 2 days, because after 15, mostly it is of 15 days. Lunar fortnight is of 15 days. Fortnight means of 15 days period. This is usually of 15 days, maybe 14, 15 or 16. But this time he says by 2 days, it has shortened by 2 days, means on the 13th day the lunar fortnight has occurred, means new moon period has come after the full moon time, only in 13 days. On the 13th day, this new moon event has occurred, he says, on the 13th day. Therefore, from the first lunation, okay, according as it is the day of full moon or the new moon, right? From new moon to full moon to new moon, he says, if this event is occurring within 13 days or on the 13th day, not in 15th or 16th or 14th, that is usual one. This is unusual thing has occurred, he says. Right? Such strange eclipse, both lunar and solar, okay, forebode, he says, forebode a great slaughter. Rahu of fierce deeds is also, O monarch, afflicting the constellation Kritika. So this Kritika Nakshatra is, or Kritika constellation is being afflicted by Rahu. And at the time of Mahabharata, Rahu was with sun and moon, solar eclipse, lunar eclipse occurred in the Kritika Nakshatra, because Kritika Nakshatra was afflicted by Rahu. And at the time of Bhopal gas tragedy also, Rahu was in Kritika Nakshatra, right? Third quarter it is okay. And Ketu was in Andolan Nakshatra in the morning time, in the evening time. It has come in the next Nakshatra, which was Jyeshtha Nakshatra, right? Jyeshtha Nakshatra. So the Andolan Jyeshtha. This is Ketu Andolan, the first quarter it is, he says, in the first quarter. And here it is also first quarter. So Ketu is Andolan Nakshatra. But Rahu was in Kritika Nakshatra, third quarter. Here also it was in the third quarter. Okay, Sun and this Rahu and Ketu both are in the same nakshatra. But at the time of that, under the Jyeshtha, that is Jyeshtha Nakshatra, the time of Mahabharata, just because this is third quarter, so in first quarter, under the first quarter, so under the Jyeshtha, just nearby to that event, because at the time of Mahabharata, Ketu was in Jyeshtha Nakshatra, and here under the Jyeshtha, and Ketu is under the Nakshatra. So after under the Jyeshtha Nakshatra there, I mean the situation mostly, some of the situations are similar, because that this event has occurred, this event of, massacre of people or killing of people, innocent people, that has occurred. Okay, that happened because of this situation. So I talked about these parameters, constellation, mostly all the Indian scriptures, Vedic scriptures, they talk about nakshatras, importance of constellations on Natchatras, the positions of different planets in different constellations is very much talked about, is very much, being discussed about by the rishis. So we can find these kind of, comparison, these kind of events described in almost all the scriptures, Indian scriptures. Because of that, we can just imagine that how these rishis were so much capable to describe these planetary conditions, how they were calculating these longitudes and latitudes and discussing about the positions of different planets in those days. About 5,000 years from now. Mahabharata battle occurred, Mahabharata war occurred in 3200 BC. Most of the nowadays, excavations have proved this. At the time of English period, the Britishers were not liking this kind of events. Mahabharata and all these things. They were just talking about that this event occurred only 5 years before, 5 or 6 years before Lord Christ. No, that is, today's now events have just, verified by the people. Through the excavations, all these things have been found that this event occurred, or Mahabharata occurred 3200 BC, about 5,000 years before today's time, 2020. This is 2020 now. So from today's time, 5,200 years before Mahabharata occurred. So in those days, how the rishis were talking